Hi there. This is going to be a very brief energy check-in that I've been pulled to do, and I know it wants to be longer. It wants to be 45 minutes, but it's going to have to be 5 or 10 this morning. Just sort of a between the eclipses, beginning of astrological new year and Aries season and Mercury retrograde. Mercury is now retrograde until the 25th. And then there's the 2-week shadow period at the end of that. So yeah, just current energy to embrace, energy to release. Oh, it's so interesting. The energy lately, there's so much chaos that it's almost like like if you did watch the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, the donut, it's very interesting that they use that, because in terms of physics, like it makes me think of the, not Erlenmeyer flask, what's it called? I referenced this like back in July or something, but sort of an impossible object, because the surface, the outer exterior surface of the object becomes the interior surface of the object, and sort of like all the chaos, it's just like compounded on itself. And it's just created this thing, and it just is what it is. And there's this ability to disconnect from it and connect to a central source of peace. And I think a lot of people are doing the straddling of those two things. But the more you can remind yourself that you don't fully identify with a lot of like the chaos and the fear and the anger that's permeating a lot of conversations and groups, then you're good. I think it's interesting. I see things on the internet and people are like, I mean, of course there's tons of really dumb clickbait everywhere, but there's also, unfortunately, there's a lot of really dumb clickbait, and it's covering up actually pretty quality content. I'm like, why do people have to market themselves this way? Everybody's just trying things out, but sometimes like, I just think like the way that things are packaged turn people away, and there'll be comments on something and people are like, this is dumb, nothing's gonna happen, you know, oh, the eclipse, just like 2012 and the Mayan prophecy. And then there's like 50 likes on that one comment, as if everybody who saw that was like, yeah, oh my God, that was dumb. Everyone said the world was gonna end in 2012 and nothing happened. That's just such a narrow-minded point of view. Like, yes, exactly like 2012. Don't you realize now? Not even now? You don't realize that everything changed? It's a matter of perception. A lot of people sit around wanting to be proven something. That's never going to happen. It's up to you whether or not you start to adjust your mind, because your perception is either keeping you from opening up to realizing and truly seeing certain things or not. And if you sit around wanting to be wowed and see, you know, it's just funny. It's a strange energy. It's a childlike energy. And like underneath that, like tough, rough, strange thing of being like, oh, I don't believe, it's like a childlike curiosity of not knowing, you know, and wondering if somebody else knows better than they do. That's a strange ego integration thing. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but it's just interesting to kind of look at all the different levels and layers at which people are digesting current events, we'll call them. All right, let's shuffle out. Actually, I got for current energy, there it goes. 2 cards fell out for current energy. Let's see what they are. It's the Artist and the Knight of Pentacles. Beautiful, I love that. I'm getting messages about that right away. But what's the energy to embrace? 8 of Swords angled out on a quick fly. 8 of Swords. Energy to embrace. Energy to release, real quick, please. Oh, I had 2 flip. 3. All right, we'll talk about that. And then I'd like to cut the deck to get animals to clarify. But the energy in the current position, it's the Artist and the Knight of Pentacles. This is slow moving. It's thought out. It's considered. It's reliable. It's a little annoying how slowly it moves. But just like a snail or a snake, belly to the ground, no amount of surface is not touched, right? Like you actually do a passage through every single phase between point A and point B. And during a time like Mercury retrograde, that's really important because it's due diligence and it's being thorough. So there's something good about this. And with the Artist, we have drafting, planning, also revisions. With the Artist, I always like to think about, and then like little, is this Icarus? Who had the little, no, Nike. I'm just thinking about the little wings on his feet. But anyway, Icarus was the one who flew too close to the sun or something, but I digress. The artist has to study something to be able to commit the shapes and the forms to memory and accurately translate them somehow. And so there's this careful study that we've been engaged in, and the artist is about having autonomy, creative autonomy, understanding what you're capable of, understanding the power of your own energy and your own mind, and how, you know, as above, so below is a universal governing law, as within, so without. Clarify energy to embrace as the Eight of Swords. It's the Empress. Interesting. I just heard sitting pretty. Sitting pretty. She is. She's not. But maybe we don't understand right now how some of the perceived stuckness is actually allowing for us to realize how good we have it in some certain way. And the way that I'm doing this, it's making me think of the eclipse, right? So also think about the eclipses in terms of masculine and feminine energy. We had the lunar eclipse, partial. Now we have the solar eclipse, total. So the moon, feminine energy, is passing in front of the sun completely. There's a dance taking place. All of the eclipse activity, eclipse portals are something of a dance. And instead of doing anything, you let that rhythm, however it transmits itself throughout the groups of people that you tend to frequent and the collective energies that you're picking up on and feeling throughout this week and through the weekend, let it take you. Like, see it as tide pools. The tide comes in, the water level rises, and everything in that water moves with it. And instead of doing any type of active something, right? This is stagnant. This is slow. This is thoughtful. There's a whole thing going on here, and I think it has to do with realizing how little you have to do in order to embody your quote unquote highest timeline. Do less. Do less. Allow yourself to see what needs to change from sitting tight. And it's not the comfortable kind. Eight of Swords is not the comfortable kind. It's not the Four of Swords. It's not relax, rest, and rejuvenate. It's like, I may be in a pinch. I don't feel the most comfortable. Like, for the past week, I've been like, I am so impatient. It's crazy how impatient I am. It's a miracle that I even say anything to anybody without snapping at them. Am I PMSing? No. It's not about that. It's Aries energy. It's a whole bunch of things. But that for me is my Eight of Swords. I'm like watching myself have these moods, wondering why I'm like that, right? And trying to riddle it out, letting it reveal something to me. Emotionally, I'm over functioning, getting myself worked up into states that I don't need to be in. So for me, the self-examination brings me back into stasis when I detach and allow myself to sit in the discomfort of watching myself like do that repeatedly, right? Because there's only the things that we do repeatedly are the things that the universe is trying to get us to see ourselves do so we can change it. Yeah, also it's really important right now to at least just get some black tourmaline. I don't know if people believe or not believe or why you watch me. It's not a channel about the dog. I always hate it when I post a short about the dog and then I get new followers and then they all unfollow me, but it's whatever. Crystals. I was talking to somebody the other day and she's not, you know, really a believer of their value. It's really hard for people to understand why a crystal would impact the human energy field because we don't see any like glowing aura around them. But she was like, I had the best sleep of my life with this obsidian in my pocket. And I was like, isn't that great? Because you don't have to believe in it to have it work. Of course, the placebo helps, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you convince yourself into it or if you're just benefiting from it. it's so much, it's such little effort for such big gain and such big protection energetically. I promise. I promise people, I'm just such a big proponent of getting the right crystals on your person in times like these. So anyway, energy to release, we have the Four of Cups, the Page of Swords, and the Lovers. So there's something about the eclipses, like I was saying, masculine energy, feminine energy, the tides coming in. Don't try to stay anywhere, right? Let the energy of the eclipses, which shakes things up, it can be unexpected. It can be like fast 180s, of all different kinds of things. Let it do its thing. Let it do its thing, because there's something in what it does that is going to put things out of balance so that they can fall back together in a new balanced way. So when I get release the Lovers, this is, I mean, it's harmony. It's a balance of masculine and feminine energy. It's partnership, but it's also the choice, right? Or two different, it also makes me think about the painting I'm doing right now. And it's a card of Gemini, and the Gemini is the sign of the twins. So there's something about this dualistic nature where it could be opposite equal reaction, where if you're a dominantly feminine person or a dominantly masculine person, there's something to the other opposite energy that's recalibrating for you at this time. Well, now I'm seeing it like a Foursquare, that game that kids used to play at the playground. And it's like, it goes every which way. So you have sort of a revelation about an integrated fill in the blank embodiment, your primary gender, how you identify, and then it affects the other side too. Like no stone unturned. And again, the message with that, the advice is just letting yourself rise and fall in the way that the energy moves you. Don't see it as stuckness, see it as an opportunity to look again, very Mercury retrograde. If you do, if you can release, this card it's a paradox, right? If you can release your ego enough to be like, what am I to just, why am I wrong? Just explore all of it. Be safe and comfortable enough really examining what you've done, and if like in a post-reflective way, if you agree with all of it, because only then do you come back to the place where it's like, yeah, it's all good. When we don't do that reflection, then we keep the blindfold on, right? With the blind spots. And we miss things. So releasing this, I mean, this is sort of like that restless energy, and we have the Knight of Pentacles. It's a more mature energy than a Page energy. It's sort of where we're at in the current energy, Knight of Pentacles. And so if we're releasing the Lovers, the Page of Swords, which is restless and impulsivity, and then this, what I'm getting with this is that we just need to open our eyes. It's like we're in this childlike, it's not because of anything that's coming up from within, like you or what you're doing. It's just the energy. Things are moving really quickly, and it's a increased likelihood that you might miss things, or just have 4 days pass in the span of what feels like one and be like, where did the time go? That's sort of what we don't want to get into right now. And staying in like a slow, grounded approach to things and checking in. I posted something on the community page yesterday saying like, just make sure you breathe. I know it's just a simple reminder. There's nothing original about that, but it's important to be told that every now and then, because when I read that, I'm like, oh yeah. And then I take a deep breath. And that's important. So there's something about like really opening your eyes and allowing for what it is that you see to be what it is that you see, allowing for what it is that you hear to be what it is that you hear, not try to anticipate or be presumptuous or make assumptions. There's this huge weird, I see this wedge like a doorstop, a wedge. It's like coming in. It's a certain group of people on a certain timeline energetically that are just throwing assumptions around left and right, and it's going to double back on them. So if you find yourself in that camp, if you've been making assumptions and like immediately seeing how you might have been wrong, then pull yourself out of that, because if you don't get off that boat soon, then it's gonna, end up in a certain place that you don't need to go if you're willing to take on a bit of a student role. I think that people who are extremely presumptuous are not open-minded or willing to learn, right? And then something about how he has his eyes closed. It's like, okay, it's time to wake up. She's fooling around. He's just, you know, being lazy. There's something around like, you don't have to, like I said before, the tide comes in. It's the tide's call. How high it rises, where you go. So it's more so like the eclipses. Let them move you in whatever way they do. What's a clarifier for that? 2 of Cups and the 7 of Wands, and the moon's on the bottom, and the 6 of Wands is under that. Victory, allowing for things that we haven't been able to see to reveal themselves in due time. Keep persevering, right? And again, coming back into a space of harmony, balance, and love. Even if right now you have to let that idea go, or if you feel like, I don't even know. I'm not coming up with an example. I see it as clockwork and these like peepholes, but again, it's one of those visions. Every now and then I'm like, that's just so vague. It's just not going to do me any good to put that into words, because it's not going to help anybody understand anything any better than they would have. But yeah. Let's get an animal spirit. What's the biggest advice right now? I'm going to pull that from here. Brown bear. Take time out. What I'm getting with that is like, again, it's like a wise observer. The chaos has become this donut that's just sucking itself in and spitting itself out. And the turn on that is it's quickening. It's quickening. So when you take time out, it doesn't mean my schedule's empty and I'm not doing anything. It just means that I'm not allowing myself, like I witnessed myself get in that really impatient space repeatedly. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go to the root of why that keeps happening and address it and give to myself and pull back a little bit and not, you know, come at things the same way and release myself of that. I'm taking time out of any type of autopilot subconscious way of being, so that I can like return to myself and make sure that I'm in control of how I'm, you know, conducting myself and moving forward in a way that relies on integrity and I feel good. Don't we all just want to feel good, even if we're handling a lot of stuff or, you know, all human with busy schedules, potential to make mistakes. All right, I got 2. No, I got 3. Reclaim your power. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of what I got with this. You take time out to reclaim your power because there's something about sight, hazy sight, something about, you know, coming into focus and letting it be a new kind of power because it has to do with embodiment. And I just saw somebody like sitting at the edge of a bed putting socks on. New socks. Wouldn't that feel good to have a nice new pair of socks and put them on? It's like that. There's something about however primary role models around feminine archetypal and male archetypal energy, this could be within your family, but it's also culturally propagated, these different roles. There's something about something that you inherited from both because they play off of each other that's exiting, stage left, and whatever new embodiment that you're able to be in is going to feel like putting on a new pair of socks. Claim your independence, be here now. Yeah, just be very present to the changes. No fear. There's nothing to fear. It's sort of a nice time. Regardless of what's happening in your life, there's like, again, I just feel a lot of stuff coming up with Q2. We're in Q2 now. What's our biggest cautionary messenger, please? So much that's going to be changing in a positive way. Cautionary messenger. This is too many, but let's just read it. Life is a mystery. Tend to the small things. A rebirth is assured. Turn knowledge into wisdom. This is the one that sat on top, so this is the one that I'm going to take as the cautionary messenger. Wolf spirit, turn knowledge into wisdom. The biggest thing that we can do against ourselves, against our own success, is not actually learning from the past and not actually looking at how things really were, not being connected enough to love or the heart space, right? Or a sense of worthiness, so that we think that our own shortcomings can be our actual detriment, when in reality there's no shame or harm in not being any, you know, there's all there is room for improvement and acknowledgement. And a lot of people aren't comfortable with that because of the way that they carry certain burdens or trauma, and like the detriment of being wrong, you know? Like for a lot of people, it could have ended up in physical harm or abuse when they were younger, like messing up. So even as an adult, the stakes are so high. They don't let themselves get into that space because out of survival, that was wrong. You could not do that, right? I have to go. I hope that everybody's doing well, and I'd like to do a longer message soon for the eclipse. I'm going out of town to spend it in the path of totality, and I'm very excited to do that. I'm going on a road trip with my friends, and I'm going to be doing a reading, I think the morning of or the day prior. I'm also going to be taking time away to write a speech that I'm going to be giving at my grandfather's ceremony, because he passed away in February. And a lot of my memories are at our summer home, growing up there, visiting my grandparents every year of my life. And I want to sit in the places that I've spent with him in order to write that. So it's going to be a really beautiful and reflective time. And I hope that regardless of what people have kind of on their agendas for this weekend, they also get some time to just sit and connect with yourself. Because I bet that certain things would be revealed to you if you did that. Okay. Sending love out there to everybody. Hope people are good. Bye.